NicNackers. All right, so I am getting ready to do chocolate cherry jam, and I think that Paul from Paul's Rule of Thumb did the chocolate cherry as well, so I'm gonna have to double check that, and if so, I'll link to his video. But the recipe that I'm using comes from this book, and it is on page 35, and I'm gonna follow this one right to the T. So it's going to call for 6 cups of the cherries, which I have already got chopped up and in my measuring cups here. It's going to call for 6 tablespoons of the ball pectin, which I'm just going to use that new pectin that I got. A 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 6 cups of sugar, and 2/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa. So I will tell you that there's a little note in the book that says, look for high quality cocoa that is between 22% and 24% milk fat. There were only 2 different kinds of the cocoa at my grocery store. One was the Hershey's, and one was this Baker's chocolate, and it had this little thing over here, high fat cocoa. So I looked at the fat between the two, and the other fat was like 0.5, and this one was 2. So this is the one I grabbed. I have no idea if this is what it's talking about or not, but it's a high-fat cocoa. We're using it. So hopefully it turns out well. I have made this recipe years and years ago, and I can tell you that I used Hershey's cocoa, and it turned out just fine. Of course, it's been a while since I've had it, so I'm probably really not going to be able to tell if there's a taste difference between the two. But since the recipe's there and is telling me to go for that kind of cocoa, and I didn't have any on hand, I bought the stuff that I thought would go for the recipe. So there's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and dump in my cherries. And these are just supposed to be coarsely chopped. I think the first set that I ran through, I probably chopped up a little bit more than I needed to, but that's all right. I think it's going to turn out just fine. So let's see, our cherries are there. Let me make sure what all we're supposed to be putting in the first 3 ingredients. So the cherries, the pectin, and the lemon juice. So I know the pectin, 6 tablespoons. All right, there's that. And then, oops, a 1/4 cup of the lemon juice. Oh, did I get rid of my, let me grab my 1/4 cup. Better turn that the right way. There we go. So there's that. I need my stirring spoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up, and then I'll come back when I'm bringing the next, or adding the next ingredients. Okay, the recipe says to add all of the sugar and the cocoa in a bowl and then mix when it's time. I'm not going to do all of the sugar, and did I say pectin or did I say cocoa? Cocoa and sugar. No pectin, we've already added the pectin. So I am going to mix 1 cup of my sugar with the 2/3 cup of the cocoa and get that all stirred and nicely combined. And then when it's time to add the sugar and the cocoa, we'll add this in. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that step of how I was doing it. Once it's up to a boil, I will bring you back. All right, so we are boiling. And we are going to be adding the 6 cups of sugar and the 2/3 cup of the cocoa. Now remember, 1 of our cups of sugar is already mixed with the cocoa. So I'm going to be adding, let me turn that down just a skosh, 5 cups of the plain sugar here. There's the 5th one, and then there is cup number 6 and our 2/3 cup of cocoa mixed in. So now we will just start combining, and that sugar will melt and become liquid. And that is going to make those cherries so dark and so rich looking. I don't think it's going to take long for... Oh yeah, smell that chocolate. It's good stuff. Oh, this just makes you want a sundae or something. Yum. So good. All right, so I'm going to continue stirring this. You guys know with the jams and the jellies, stir, stir, stir. So I'm going to turn the heat back up, get this to boiling, boil it for a minute, and then I'll bring you back when I'm jarring it up. All right, so here we go. And let me tell you guys, Becca and I tried it, and it is delicious. It is so good. In fact, I'm thinking it would be really good just to jar it up as a sauce. Maybe put in like half of the pectin. I don't even know how that works, if it would set up a small amount, but not as much. Might have to play around because, you know, it's going to come out and set like a jam. So it's going to be kind of thick, which you can still spoon over your ice cream and stuff. But I think just to have that texture for ice cream, like a sauce, would be so good. All right, get that cleaned off. These jars are actually coming out pretty clean this go around. I said that, and watch. I'll have an accident. It happens. There we go, so pretty. It's so dark and rich. It just looks amazing. And I lost my jar lifters. Where did I put them? Oh, they're over here with the other. With the other jars that just came out. All right, so there we go. And I'm going to continue filling up my jars. And as always, I'll bring you back when they're out of the canner.